This is 2021's Trust. Warning, spoilers ahead. We open up to a cell phone buzzing from constant notifications, and we see a glimpse of the texts that are of someone asking where someone else is. In the background, we can see two lovers entwined in the passionate act, and the cell phone isn't enough to make them stop. Then we cut to Brooke as she braces herself to open the door, and then we see Owen pacing around inside. When Brooke comes in with her suitcase, she hugs Owen tight, and they tell each other how much they missed each other. She notices something is off with him, and he notices the same with her. They play it off like nothing happened, but we start going back 5 days into the past to get a recap on what we missed. Brooke is decorating her studio with her artwork, and back at the apartment, we can see that the two of them are actually a very happy-looking couple. Around 2 a.m., she comes home to crawl into bed with Owen, but he wants to start getting a little closer to her. Suddenly, Brooke's phone goes off, and it's Ansgar asking if she's still awake. Ansgar goes to the studio to do an interview on his art in the morning, and his morals are clearly questionable as he answers. Brooke watches from nearby, and Owen slowly walks up behind her. Ansgar tries to explain that while his art is sexual, he only paints women that are important to him. The interviewer tries to warn Brooke that the critics will only think that this is porn, but Brooke stands firm in her belief in the art. Owen seems to be on the interviewer's side though. When Ansgar talks to Owen, all he talks about is how much he likes what he sees in Brooke. When Owen tries to call Brooke over, she holds a finger up, and Ansgar takes this as a sign. After the interview, the couple heads out to meet up with Eleanor and Adam to talk about Brooke's potential success. We also find out that the two of them are having trouble conceiving a child. Right on cue, Ansgar texts Brooke, and when she takes too long to text back, he ends up calling her. Owen brings up the fact that Ansgar has a habit of sleeping with married women and painting them, and Eleanor and Adam tell them that everyone cheats. They would know, they're both divorce attorneys. After hearing that, Brooke tells them that she'll be back, and she takes her purse with her. Literally the worst timing to leave the table. Later that evening, Brooke and Owen get home to find flowers and a letter for Brooke on the table. She thanks him and gives him a kiss before telling him that she'll make it up to him for the way she's been acting while being under pressure. Owen tells her that after the gallery opens, they can talk about having Christmas in Paris, and he shows her the pictures of potential places. Then, Brooke breaks it to him that she can't do it thanks to the gallery and Ansgar. Once again, Ansgar texts Brooke, and Owen decides to go take the trash out. On his way out, he takes the card with him, and out in the hallway, we see that he had already bought the tickets to Paris. You can't help but feel bad for him just a little. As of right now, she's just doing her job, but he's really trying. While Owen is out, Brooke notices a text notification pop up on his phone from a Sarah, and she opens up the text to find Sarah had texted to do something tomorrow night and to delete the text. Wow, now I don't trust anyone. No wonder the movie is called Trust. Brooke even gets jealous when she notices Ansgar kissing a woman out front in the morning. The art gallery business is cutthroat. Ansgar tells him that he has a buyer in Paris, and he tries to play up whether her relationship is good enough to leave with him. Brooke goes to Eleanor to ask for her advice, but she simply tells her to be direct with him. Brooke heads to the newsroom that Owen's an anchor for, and she watches as Owen interacts with his female coworkers. After she breaks the news with Owen, he's happy until she mentions that she's going to Paris with Ansgar instead of Owen. After hearing this, he asks one of the producers, Kim, if he can catch the Vegas shoot on Saturday since Brooke won't go to Paris with him, and Kim tells him that he can sit with her and the new intern. That night, Brooke tosses and turns in bed, and she wakes up to find Owen texting someone and leaving the apartment. They're not even trying to hide anything. It's an open apartment, and he's basically sitting right in front of her. He could have at least left a note that said he had something at work or something. After watching Owen leave, Brooke grabs the tablet to see where Owen got a rideshare to. In the morning, she leaves Owen a voicemail about how she's leaving for Paris that night, and she watches as a mom and her daughter play with each other on the park bench. That night, Brooke packs some sexy clothes in her suitcase, and Owen comes in to apologize for the way he handled the day before. Brooke apologizes too, but their apologies don't change what they're doing. Owen mentions that he doesn't trust Ansgar, but Brooke reminds him that he only has to trust her. Owen sees the gown in the suitcase, and later he goes to drink with Adam. When Adam tries to leave, Owen gets recognized by a journalism college major, but he plays it off pretty well. Meanwhile, in Paris, the meeting with the art buyers goes very well, and Ansgar gets a little handsy. Brooke removes his hand from her thigh after he slides it up a bit though. How many couples actually cheat at the same time? Owen straight up puts himself in trouble, but then he pulls himself out. That was like a kiss of death without the kiss. Back in Paris, Ansgar is not letting up, but Brooke is holding steady. Back at Owen's place, he's the one that we saw in the beginning with the girl from the bar. Her name is Amy, and Owen tries to play it off like this was a mistake or shouldn't happen again. Amy decides to use this moment as blackmail, but Owen seems to think that cutting ties is the best option. Over in Paris, Brooke decides to cut her visit to Paris short, and she rushes back to New York City. After greeting Owen at home, Brooke heads to the gallery to get things ready for the opening, but Ansgar arrives with a new piece of work that he wants to add as the main piece. When Ansgar reveals it, he calls it Brooke, and it actually looks like her. This is one of those worst-case scenarios. We don't even have confirmation that anything actually happened in Paris. He could just be a prick. During the opening, Owen notices Ansgar and Brooke acting quite intimate with each other, and eventually, the Brooke painting is one of the final pieces left. Eventually, Brooke and Ansgar come out from the back room together, and Ansgar gives plenty of subtle hints to Owen before turning his attention to Amy, who just walked in. A change of plans, this is the worst-case scenario. When Owen notices Amy, he goes to Adam and tells him that there's a serious problem. They try to set up a story to tell Brooke, but they don't get it straight before Brooke comes back. Soon enough, Ansgar and Amy come over to the group, and Owen tries to act like he's never seen Amy before. Everyone goes their separate ways, and Ansgar gives her a ride to Owen's apartment. Brooke is closing up the gallery, and she goes up to tell him something important. Once upstairs, Amy tells him that he doesn't get the whole story. Apparently, she met Brooke a few days ago. At least they do us the courtesy of telling us there's a time jump. We're going back to the night that Brooke left Owen and their friends at the restaurant. It turns out that she just went to the bathroom, and Eleanor follows her to talk about her suspicions. Next, we see the time that Brooke went to talk to Eleanor about going to Paris, and she goes through Owen's tablet to snoop. When Brooke talks about her sliver of doubt, Eleanor brings up the idea of hiring a decoy and PI, and she gives her the card for an agency to call. Sure enough, the night that she watches Owen get in a rideshare, she finds that he's going to a one-night B&B, and later his tablet gets a notification for sushi for two being delivered to the B&B. Now Brooke decides to call the agency, and the next day she ends up meeting Amy to go over the specifics of her being a decoy for Owen. Amy assures her that she has no need to worry about her taking Owen, and she's 100% professional. Amy tells her that if she wants to bail at any time, all she has to do is text her under a fake name. And when we jump forward to the night of the fling, we see that Brooke sends Amy that exact text. Oh snap, her professionalism is being put into question. Not only that, but we finally get a glimpse of the other side. Is Brooke innocent from that night in Paris? Yeah, she is. She straight up leaves Ansgar in a bar to go sit in a hallway trying to get a hold of Owen. I'm really on Brooke's side now. Meanwhile, Amy is over here being a little teased when Owen finally answers Brooke. This is one of those webs that's so thick that no one's going to make it out alive. The next morning, Brooke wheels her suitcase downstairs, and Ansgar keeps trying to lay the charm on thick. Brooke shows an immense amount of restraint, and she makes her way back to New York. When we get to the point where Ansgar leaves after showing his new painting, Amy pops up at the gallery. When they get to the office, Amy tells her that her phone died, so she never got any audio, and she lies about the video guy showing up. Amy tries to tell her that Owen passed the test, but Brooke wants more than that. Amy plays up a fantasy about Owen being a perfect gentleman, and Brooke pays her the rest of her fee. Before Amy heads out, Brooke invites Amy to the gallery opening that night, and she tells her not to worry about Owen. Here's something we've all been waiting for. When everyone leaves the gallery, Owen hits Ansgar solid in the face. I've definitely been waiting for that. What I haven't been waiting for is Brooke to confront Owen about denying meeting Amy at the bar. Now, no one can keep their story straight. Owen admits to having met her at the bar that night, and he assumes that she's just a crazy fan that would say all sorts of things. When he admits to taking a picture with her on her phone, Brooke really starts to question everyone, since Amy said that her phone had died. Brooke calls Owen out, and she wants to know exactly what happened, whether it would hurt her or not. Owen finally breaks down and tells her that much more ended up happening, and Brooke hops out of the cab. Owen follows her down on the sidewalk, and he tries to defend his actions. When Brooke asks if he slept with Amy, his silence answers all of her questions. Then she asks for his phone, to see what his late-night texts have been about. And she walks off with his phone and leaves him alone. In what world would someone like Owen hand her his phone and just walk away? We just can't be without our cell phones on us anymore. When someone doesn't have their phone, they feel naked. Apparently, Brooke goes to Eleanor's that night, and we come full circle at Owen's apartment as Amy tells him that Brooke hired her to test him. Meanwhile, Brooke goes through Owen's phone, and she finds out that all the late-night texts were actually about leads on catching a cheating senator that Owen was doing for work. This feels like entrapment now. After realizing her mistake, Brooke goes home to find Ansgar waiting outside for Amy, and she heads upstairs to find the two of them discussing things. Owen can't believe that she would hire someone to try and get him to cheat, but Brooke expected him to have the fortitude to say no. Brooke believes that just because she created the circumstances doesn't mean that it gives him a free pass. Owen admits that he hated the idea of messing up, but he admits that this was the first time that he hadn't been thinking of Brooke over himself. Finally, Amy admits to not being very professional, but she can't believe that Brooke would ever want to risk losing the happiness she had. When Amy heads downstairs, Ansgar gives her a cheeky smile, and the two of them go their separate ways. Now that they're alone, Owen asks Brooke for clarification on her trip to Paris, and she admits that nothing happened. The more Owen pushes her to be honest, she decides to play the what if card. Wait, it turns out that there's more to this side of the story? Just when I thought I was on her side. Back in Paris, Brooke was sitting in the hallway trying to get a hold of Owen, but Ansgar pops up. She admits that she thinks that Owen is cheating on her, and Ansgar tells her that he has something in his room to show her. Of course, she follows him there, and he shows her the view from his room. He shows her the corner that he used to sleep at, and he admits that he's only where he is now because people like her helped him reach these heights. Then he explains to her that if Owen is cheating on her, that gives her a free pass to do what she wants too. Ansgar wastes no time in kissing her, and he takes her dress off of her. Yet she couldn't go through with it. Brooke still ended up telling Ansgar that she couldn't go through with it, and Brooke calls it a night. Back in the present, the couple had a rough night, and in the morning, Owen gets ready to go to Vegas to cover a news story. He tries to see if Brooke will say goodbye to him, but all she asks is if he's going to come back for Christmas. When Owen can't give her an answer, she asks if this is the end of them. But Owen doesn't have an answer to that either. Instead, he just pulls out the tickets to Paris that he had gotten for them originally, and he tells her that the plane leaves in 3 hours. Okay, apparently all is forgiven, because the next thing we see is the two of them on Christmas Eve in the future with a baby. How many of you would have gone to Paris with Owen? The two of them smile at each other, and then the credits roll. They always make it seem like couples look past all the infidelity and mistrust in no time at all. But this movie was still pretty good. Give it a shot. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this one. Comment what you think I should watch next, and I'll see you in the next video.